Welcome into the Crystal Creek Homes podcast. As always, I am your host, Jason Thomsen. We are joined by Justin Bobier and Koby Contenti, and this is episode 4. So if you have been following along with us over the last number of weeks, you'll know we've covered a fair bit of content already. Today's session is going to be a little bit different. We're going to dive into one of the projects that Crystal Creek is currently involved in. It's fairly early stages, but there's already a lot of effort and work that has gone into it. And I thought it would be a really fun opportunity for us to have Justin kind of show us a peek behind the scenes as far as how these projects come together, the discussions that go into it for sometimes years before it actually progresses and starts to move forward. And then we'll talk about how it becomes an investment opportunity, how the mutual fund trust participates, all the stuff, put all the pieces together in a really unique way. But before we dive into that, let's just say hello to our guests. So Justin, welcome in again. It's great to have you back. You're going to talk to us a little bit about Taza Park.
Yes, thank you. I'm Justin Bobier, owner and founder of Crystal Creek Homes. And today we're going to focus on, as you said, Taza Park, which is one of the opportunities that is before us as a company. Really super excited about this opportunity for us and for our investors to partner along with us.
Tremendous. And speaking of investors, we also have Koby Contenti on the call with us. Koby is our local dealing representative. Koby, do you want to introduce yourself and just share a little bit of background about yourself as well for anyone who might be joining us for the first time here today?
Absolutely. My name is Koby Contenti, and I operate as a dealing representative with Rethink and Diversify Securities. They're what's called an exempt market dealer that's able to offer a suite of investment products to clients in the private marketplace. And so I work with Crystal Creek as they are one of the opportunities that I can provide to my investors. And yeah, it's been a great working relationship.
That's awesome. And for anyone who is joining us for the first time, as I mentioned, my name is Jason Thomsen. I'm the president and CEO of Bridge Advisory Incorporated, and we are a consulting and capital raising firm that partners with private issuers like Crystal Creek. We help them with their capital raising strategy and building out the network of exempt market dealers that we work with, helping to represent the company with the dealing representatives like Koby, making sure that they really understand the product inside and out and have all the information that they need when they're talking to their prospective investors. So today we are really excited to talk about Taza Park. Now, this is a unique project in a lot of ways. It is a partnership between the Tsuut'ina Nation and Canderel, which is the development company that's been brought in for this, in partnership with the city of Calgary. There's a lot of synergies that have been built into this. Now, Justin, you guys have been in discussions on this project for a while. When did you first hear about the Taza Park project and the opportunity that you are currently engaged in now?
Well, for Crystal Creek, the conversation probably started 2 years ago when it comes to this opportunity. But really, this opportunity started kind of going back to almost 2013, which is when the Tsuut'ina Nation entered into an agreement with the province to allow for the ring road construction in Calgary to go through a portion of their land. And that was the early beginnings of really what they were envisioning as a part of developing on their land. And, it's a real partnership that they have in terms of looking at welcoming the city of Calgary onto their land, sharing some of that beautiful experience and really starting to take advantage of some of their placement within the city, which it's funny how the city of Calgary has been built around the Tsuut'ina lands, and the piece of property that we're currently looking at would almost be considered by some to be inner city Calgary. And so this is really the first natural step in terms of development moving forward.
That's tremendous. And the property that we're looking at here is actually inside the ring road. It's not on the outside. And as you mentioned, it's pretty even with the city center in terms of north-south location. So it really is in kind of a prime location, a great spot. It's also located in some geographically unique locations. This is bordering onto Weaselhead Trail and the Glenmore Reservoir. It's an area that historically has been very, very highly sought after for property development, property ownership in that area. Tell us a little bit about the area itself and kind of how this development's going to fit into the landscape that already exists in the area.
Well, for those that are from the Calgary area, they would be very familiar with the community of Lakeview. Lakeview abuts the Glenmore Park, beautiful piece of real estate within the Calgary city limits. And, you know, considered to be inner city, it's a really sought after community, Lakeview, in terms of tearing down an older home and building your beautiful dream home. Lots of multi-million-dollar homes within the Lakeview area. And what's interesting about this particular opportunity is the Taza lands abut up to Lakeview and the Glenmore Park. And we're really super fortunate with the piece of property that we have committed to, that it overlooks the Weaselhead, overlooks the Glenmore Reservoir, and really it's a view and sight lines that people from Calgary aren't used to. It's funny, just this past weekend, I walked our lots, and it's gives you a feeling of being near the water because of the Glenmore Reservoir and overlooking the mountains. It's quite a beautiful landscape, and one that Calgarians are not used to seeing, quite honestly, in this area. In addition to that, for those that are not familiar with that particular area or not from Calgary, it's really uniquely located. It's almost like Calgary has been a U shape with the Tsuut'ina lands abutting into the city of Calgary. And so this is just a natural piece to develop.
Yeah, it really is just truly beautiful land to be out there. You can really feel the nature in the area. There's tons of very big mature trees down into the ravine. You've got some beautiful views. You're on the west end, so there's that proximity to the mountains, and from the higher elevations, there's a little bit of that mountain view aspect to this. The property that we're going to be building the Crystal Creek homes on to start is down lower, but it's at that ravine backing onto the beautiful Weaselhead Trail down below. And then there's also some wetland areas that are being preserved as part of the development plan that are also right adjacent to your property. So the homes that you're going to be constructing here are going to be surrounded by beautiful wilderness.
Absolutely, and I think that that's part of the Tsuut'ina Nation vision, along with Canderel as the development partner, to really incorporate really the elements of nature, to preserve some of the areas there in terms of the trees and the feeling of you know, seclusion, I guess, if you will. And so we're really excited because we believe it's going to become a destinations point within the city of Calgary.
That's tremendous. Let's talk a little bit about that partnership between Tsuut'ina and Canderel. Tsuut'ina historically has been a very pro-business First Nation. They really have done a lot of work like this in their past history. This is a brand new evolution for them. The scale of this project is much bigger than some of what they have done historically. And bringing in Canderel, I think, was such a smart strategic decision for them to partner with a company that has the expertise to be able to take on a project of this size and scope. And you have some experience with some of the key executives that are managing this project for Canderel as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the background of that partnership and your personal experience with some of the people involved?
Sure, and kudos to both Canderel and for the Tsuut'ina Nation to come together to form this joint partnership that will benefit, obviously, both parties in a real positive fashion. Canderel, of course, is a nationwide construction company that I've been privileged to know some of the executives from there for many years. And so that's really where my introduction first came in. And I think from the Tsuut'ina Nation point of view is that they realize they have such an incredible piece of land and opportunity, but to execute on that, that's really not their forte. And to bring in a partner that can help execute and bring some of those past relationships with the business leaders here in the city was really smart on their part, because it really starts to feel more like a something that the people from the city of Calgary would feel used to in terms of, yes, I understand, I recognize some of the builders, I recognize some of the development partners, I recognize this style of building. And so it will give comfort in terms of creating that destination point within the city.
Yeah. And then there's also the unique aspect of, because this is First Nation property, this is going to be a leased land construction opportunity. This isn't a permanent title transfer ownership. This is something where you are operating on leased land, and there's some unique features to that. Canderel had some real influence and some really positive suggestions around the structure of how this opportunity is going to look. And I think the final agreement that everyone came to and agreed upon at the end of the day is one that makes sense for all parties. So let's talk a little bit about how the partnership operates on the leased land and what that's going to look like for property and home purchasers in this community over the next 100+ years.
Sure. Well, I think as a developer, a builder, as a client, a homeowner, I think everybody has the initial concern of what does a land lease look like, especially on the Tsuut'ina Nation. And, there's stories and misconceptions and all of those sorts of things. And so it's really good to understand the reality of what has been created with this particular opportunity. And so what is nice is that the Tsuut'ina Nation and Canderel have formed a limited partnership, which is owned 50-50. And what has happened is they've entered into a 99-year lease with the Tsuut'ina Nation that is prepaid. So no further expenses or anything that will be created out of that. As a builder coming into the community, we'll actually have a sublease with that limited partnership. What's really nice about that, from my perspective, in terms of alleviating some of my personal concerns, is that the parties that I know and that I've had relationships with are the parties that I'll be dealing with within that limited partnership, in conjunction to getting to meet new fabulous business partners on the Tsuut'ina Nation. And so that has given me a lot of comfort as well, understanding how a 99-year prepaid lease works, and understanding that, there's lots of options. There's some nuances that are a little bit different, but once you understand it, it's really no different than owning a regular piece of land. And so, that obviously gave us comfort to move forward. And I think that for anybody who's considering being a homeowner in the community or being an investor in the community, those are things that are really important to understand, because we all have those concerns initially. And I think a lot of it is fear of the unknown. But once you understand the logistics of it and exactly how it works, it certainly put my comfort at ease, understanding that.
And the terms sorry, go ahead, Koby.
Sorry, I've got a question or two. So for me, a lot of my clients that I'm talking to when we deal with projects like this, where it incorporates these leased land, kind of the first two big questions that come up are, one, what happens at the end of the lease? And two, how does it affect purchase value? Do you benefit as a builder on purchasing lease opposed to purchasing the land outright? Just kind of your feedback on those questions.
Sure. So I think what's interesting about this particular lease, it is a 99-year prepaid lease, which means there are no other fees that as a homeowner you would incur as the leaseor of the land. As well, what ends up happening towards the end of the lease term is that it would be incumbent upon all parties to either extend the lease, and that is within there, that they have the option of extending it for 25 years with no additional costs, or worst case scenario, if they decided, no, we're not going to renew the lease, ultimately the limited partnership would have to purchase your home at market value in order to end that lease period. And so that's already been written in. And so there is some comfort in knowing it's not just a matter of, well, the lease ends and I'm out everything that I've had. At a bare minimum, you would need to be paid out your market value. However, our understanding is, and what we've seen in the past, is generally speaking, when there's 20 to 30 years left on the lease, People aren't going to undergo a major renovation project or something like that without having some, knowing what the future looks like. And so typically these leases are renegotiated at that point in time, and to ensure that there's some longevity in terms of what people are going to be expecting. I also believe that there's a 5-year notification period that needs to go out in terms of this is what our plan is. And so that just gives comfort to those people that, are going to be homeowners. They're investing their hard-earned money, knowing that it's going to last for generations to come.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I have one more question, sorry. Why lease land? Why can't they just sell you the land outright? What restrictions are in place? And why do they come to this opportunity opposed to some alternatives?
But well, I think that that's going a little bit bigger than what my overall knowledge is, but my understanding would be is that there is no titled land. This is crown land that has been given to the Tsuut'ina Nation. And so as part of that, they don't have the opportunity to sell it. And so this is a way of getting around that. And so they're leasing Crown Corporation land to the end user. And so there isn't an ability to sell that, if you will.
Awesome. Thank you.
And that actually leads perfectly into the next part of the discussion that I wanted to transfer over to, is that this isn't something that you're experiencing for the first time in this project. The partnership that you have with the University of Calgary operates under a very similar agreement. The Guild townhomes that you're building already on the University of Calgary land is also on leased land. And with your experience in that community, transferring over to this one, the similarities are very, very consistent. In fact, some of the people that are involved are consistent as well. And that's maybe where some of the similarities come from.
Well, and I think that this is a really important, probably the most important point for people to understand, is that one of the relationships I have is with a gentleman by the name of James Robertson. I've known James for well over 20 years. James was the former CEO of the University District lands. And so James was instrumental in creating the vision, executing on the development. And, when you drive through University District now, it's such an incredible energy. We're so happy to be involved in that particular community with our project that we've got ongoing. But, he did such a great job in terms of creating that destination point. And that goes to his years of experience of working directly with the city of Calgary and with the city of Calgary, that he was actually recruited by Canderel to come over and be the CEO here in terms of what this project looks like at Taza. Knowing James is the leader over there really gave me a lot of comfort. And really with what he's trying to create at Taza Park is very, very similar to what we see at University District. That was his vision. That was where he wanted to take University District lands. We know that University District in Calgary is nationwide, something that people look up to in terms of trying to emulate and trying to copy. And so by having him on the project, we're excited about the vision of what we're going to see. And although it's early days, some of the things that we've heard, we expect it to be more exciting, more energy, more core participants in terms of what this project is going to look like long term.
Yeah. Just the physical features of the property at Taza Park have a distinct advantage over what the university is working with up in the northwest part of Calgary there. Just backing onto the beautiful Glenmore Reservoir obviously is an advantage geographically that City of Calgary or the University of Calgary just doesn't have access to. So yeah, if you can bring a similar style of development and then incorporate all of that natural beauty in addition to what the University of Calgary has been able to do up in their lands, that sounds like the perfect mix of just really forward-thinking construction with that beautiful natural feature of the property already.
And the vision of the limited partnership in this particular new opportunity at Taza Park, there's no single family housing. So wow. You're not going to see single family homes, very similar to University District. It's more multifamily. Our particular project that we're going to be working on is the closest thing to single family that you can get to within the project. So we're super excited, and we feel it really gives us a competitive edge in terms of the new product that will be coming on.
Yeah, that's so exciting. So this opportunity, Koby, you've already been discussing it with some of your investors. You've had some preliminary conversations. This seems like one that local Calgarians, at least, are embracing. They're pretty excited about what this project looks like. What's been the feedback that you've been receiving from your investors as you've been presenting the Taza opportunity?
It's funny because when I first have these conversations, they hear leased land and they automatically get nervous, but then they go and drive the property and they kind of educate themselves on what these leasehold opportunities look like in terms of a home buyer, in terms of an investor in the project. And they come back and say, okay, how can I invest kind of thing. It's been fantastic. The vision for the community is going to be absolutely outstanding. And the price point that Crystal Creek is looking to enter the market at is going to be quite significant in comparison to some of the other communities, such as Lakeview that Justin mentioned, where you're 5 minutes from downtown, 10 minutes from downtown, just off of Glenmore there. It's going to be very, very desirable, and I'm very excited.
That's awesome. And that's a great segue. Thanks for that, Koby, for teeing us up. Now, Justin, when you enter into a project like this, how do you determine things like price point? How do you determine things like design and the product that you're going to actually be building in that area? I know the developer gives you some constraints. They kind of have an idea of what they want to see in that area, but it's up to you to finalize it and come up with all the details. How does your team come together on this, find their price point, and then from that point, figure out your expenses, your pro forma, all that sort of stuff? There's a lot of steps involved in taking on a new project like this.
So initially, when a developer creates a community, they have a master plan or a vision of what they would like to see to come to fruition. They'll have certain parcels of land that will be dedicated for either townhouse or 6-story multifamily or rental or condo type projects. And so the particular piece that we landed on was villa project, villa style units. And so villa is a fancy word for duplex. And so it typically is more lends itself to luxury product. And so, for us, when we took a look at this and being so used to the West End, we've been operating in the West End of Calgary for over 21 years now. We know the buyer, we know what they're looking for. We know the desirability of the land. And so when we put this together, we know that there is a real desire, for the 50+ crowd that, the kids are out of the house now. I've got a little bit of money. I'm maybe living in this 5,000 square foot home that we don't need. And so what's next for us when we start to take a look at the ability to travel a little bit? I still want the nice features that I'm used to in my house, but it's time to downsize. And that's really the target demographic that we have gone after here with this particular product. And as well, what we've really thought about, though, is affordability. Because although we do have buyers that, can go out and spend $2 million on a villa, that's not for everyone. People want to have their vacation home. They want to have the ability to travel. And so for a lot of people, they want to spend $1 million or less. And so what we have been able to do is come up with really a target market that we feel is going to work really, really well with the affordability of having your own spot, as well as creating passive income for those people that want to purchase a home by creating suites in their villa, so that if they want to do some rental and create a little bit of passive income, is super desirable for that particular crowd. Now that we have things like Airbnb or whatever they may be, that I can bring in somebody and have them stay, whether it's for a week or two, or have somebody stay long-term as a long-term renter. But it allows our purchasers to have some of that passive income. So that's the demographic we've gone after. The villa units will be in that 1,300 to 1,400 square feet with developed basements that purchasers will be able to choose to have a suite or choose to have just a developed basement. It'll be up to the individual purchasers as to what they want. But what we see from our demographic, even in the real luxury type areas where we're building, people are asking for basement suites because they want their passive income from their own kids, or from, people that can just stay for a short period of time, or from renters. And so that's really the demographic that we've gone after in this particular project.
Sure. That sounds very targeted, which obviously helps when you're putting together your design elements, figuring out your finishes, your packages, all that sort of stuff. Knowing exactly who your target buyer is must really help with all of those minute decisions. Now, I know you have an excellent design team that really takes care of all those details for you, but I assume it helps them to have a clear picture of who they're trying to attract when they're making those decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. In the west end of Calgary, there's a lot of affluent communities that are starting to age, anywhere from 10 to 30 years in age. And they used to be the most sought after destinations to own real estate in Calgary. But those buyers in those homes now are getting into their next stage of life. And so, it's interesting, in the west end, there are some villa projects that are out there that they started about $2 million. And so they are really a niche for a certain target demographic.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to spend that. And so we've really think that we've broadened the market in terms of what's available for that kind of stage in life and what people are looking for. And that's where we feel we're going to be the only real option in the West End, especially as it relates to the scenic views of the Glenmore Park, that location, that price point. We think we've got a winning formula.
That sounds tremendous. And it makes so much sense. If you're at a stage of life now where you no longer need the 4 or 5 bedroom, 5,000 square foot house, it can feel like a lot at that point when all the kids are gone, the house is empty. Maybe it does make more sense to take some of the equity that has grown in the home, pull it out, deploy that into your retirement plans, and just allocate a portion of it towards your housing for something that better suits your needs at that stage of life. So that is such an intuitive option, and being able to give those purchasers a product that perfectly fits what they're looking for, I feel like that's going to be a home run for you guys.
Absolutely. And I think that, as when we've spoken to that demographic, they're not interested in a townhouse of going up and down a bunch of stairs. They're not interested in multifamily living where they have shared common space with others. They still like their own space. They like bungalow style living and having your own garage, your own privacy, your own backyard. That's really the target demographic that we're going after. And we feel that, the market in the Calgary area is lacking that product for that demographic. And so we know that we've built similar communities to this in other areas of town that have been highly sought after, and we can't think of why this one wouldn't be the same, especially in its location.
That's great. So there's just 2 more things that I would like to discuss with you on this particular project. Once you get to the point of knowing exactly what you're building, breaking ground, starting construction, finding the right trade partners is so important to the successful execution of this. Now, Crystal Creek has some tremendous relationships with companies that you work with time after time, project after project, but you also continue to grow. So every year as you're building more homes, I assume you're also finding new partnerships, finding new trade partners to be able to execute with, and sometimes just scaling with your existing partners as well. But there's a whole process to tendering where you seek out your trade partners. They put in their bids, their quotes on what expense it's going to be for them to come in and execute the vision of the project. How does that process work? How early do you get involved in those discussions with the trade partners? And how does it all kind of come together in the final stages before construction actually occurs?
Sure. So maybe to take half a step back and just to talk about timelines, we would expect on this particular project that we'll have building permits ready to start, shovels in the ground in September or October of this year. So the work has been going on for years already, and now we're at the point where our designs have been finalized. Our options that we're going to be offering are finalized, and they're somewhat limited in terms of narrowing down what we're going to offer. Our first phase is going to be 96 villa units, and the next phase that we have a first right of refusal will be another 96. And so we're talking about a very large scale project. And so once we have our plans finalized, which we're at that point now, And in fact, it's going to be this week where now we're going to be reaching out to our trade partners, many of whom we've dealt with for 20 plus years, but some that are going to be newer to Crystal Creek. Through that tender process, what ends up happening is that on each scope, there'll be 3 to 4 people wanting to bid. And of course, when they're bidding on it, they're going to be bidding on 96 units. Yeah. And so it's very lucrative as our trade partners in terms of getting that project awarded to them. For us, it's an ability to make sure that our partners, that our trusted partners are in line in terms of what the market is charging. And as well, it allows us to now maybe open up to some broader trade partners that maybe have always wanted to work for Crystal Creek, and now this is an opportunity for them to do so. I will say when you're dealing with this many units, the pricing and the value that we can get is quite incredible. So that all flows right down to our clients and we pass that value on. And so that's where we believe we have to hit a certain price point in order for this to be popular and desirable. And affordable housing has never gone out of style. Let's just say that. And I think where we're really excited about the affordability is that we understand for the first couple of years, this is going to be pioneering. It's a new subdivision. It's, things are new. People don't know what to expect. But we believe our price points that we've been able to negotiate with our developer, on top of that, what we'll be negotiating with our trade partners going forward into the project is going to provide such incredible value in the west end of Calgary that it will be enough to shock people in terms of how are they being able to achieve that pricing. So it all kind of comes together for us to do that. And that just goes to the desirability and to the concern again of the leased land, of being able to get over that hump. So to have a bit of a shocking sticker price where people haven't seen pricing like that in a number of years. The other thing I would just sort of say with that is, with those trade partners, we're going to be able to tweak things in terms of what the market is going to ask for in terms of the options that we're offering. And so although we're not going to be currently in the ground with shovels in September, October, there is a really fabulous sales center that they're creating on site that they're going to be inviting the public. There's a big builder announcement coming out on March the 12th that all the builders will be announced and some of the projects and what we're going to be doing. And so we'll be actually open to the public at the end of May, which is so imperative why right now we're doing that tendering. When we do that, we hold our trade partners to that pricing for the length of the project. And we'll be able to hit the ground running at the end of May in our sales center that will be open to the public with options and what's going in. And, I guess I can say this now. I have a really strong feeling when we open up in May, there's already going to be sales just from some of the interest that we've had already, especially for the view lots that will be very, very difficult to come by.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so unique. And knowing that this is a pioneering project and that it is for a lot of potential purchasers, a first exposure to leased land, you also have a bit of a contingency plan prepared should sales maybe not come off as quickly as you anticipate. If there is a little bit of a slower process, there's a backup plan for that. So why don't we talk about that one? It fits into a broader strategy for Crystal Creek and one that we talked about last episode when we were talking about the mutual fund trust. But this project is really well suited to a potential purpose-built rental element as well. So why don't you talk about that strategy and what it means for not just yourself and the Crystal Creek participation in this project, but what it means for investors. So when Koby's meeting with investors and talking about this project, they can have confidence in this as well.
Well, I think it's always really imperative for any builder to create an exit plan in terms of, what if things don't go as I have planned? Yes. What is my exit strategy? And so, the leased land does not go unthought of in terms of, well, I think we're comfortable with it at this point, but what is the public's perception going to be? So I think in creating our plans with having standard bungalows with suites built in, it lends itself naturally that if we don't see the sales cycle when we go to market, and we don't see the expectation of what we believe we will see, we do have an exit strategy of saying we can convert these very easily into rental product. And knowing and understanding that as a backup plan just gives me comfort to know that with what we're creating, it can be both really desirable from a purchasing standpoint, but as well from a rental standpoint. We know that area, in terms of its desirability and what rental rates look like, makes sense for a lot of investors, and ultimately our mutual fund trust. Our mutual fund trust is getting into rental product where passive income is really important and appreciation is really important to support the fund and to support our investors that are in that fund. And we see this as a logical exit strategy that the mutual fund trust could participate in, should it come to that, if we don't realize the success that we believe we will see.
It's so comforting to know that there are backup plans in place. And I think inherently the rental market for this type of community is going to be so strong. You don't have any of the concerns around lease land when you're renting, because you're not the one that's gonna hold the title on the property at the end of the day anyway. So there's all of the features, the benefits, the beauty of the community. That's all going to be pure appeal with none of the downside to a potential renter market. So there's a pretty easy pivot there available to you just based on the features of the property.
And one point to ensure that potential investors understand is that, if that backup plan does come to fruition, those homes are still sold to our mutual fund trust or the limited partnership that will hold that at market value. There's not a discount that is being passed on. At the end of the day, it is viewed as a pre-sale. And so for me, that gives me a lot of comfort when I take a look at the strategy moving forward as to knowing that there is that backup plan in place.
Yeah. And Koby, when you're having your conversations with your prospective investors, you're talking them through kind of the backup strategies and all of this. How much comfort does that bring to your investors when you're talking with them?
It's quite large because I know Crystal Creek began this process in a few of their Edmonton projects that I have investors currently in. And for me to go to them and say, hey, guess what? Some of these units are going to be converted to a purpose-built rental. Oh, what does that mean for me as an investor? Well, say there's 6 units in this community that are being planned to be purpose-built rental. 6 homes just sold, and that means timelines are sped up. Your margin is going to be a bit better because your margin as an investor is mainly based on your timeline. And yeah, it can just speed things up, and it's not necessarily using an exit strategy in those Edmonton projects. However, it can be used alongside both the construction projects and the purpose-built rental side. So yes, it does definitely give a lot of confidence to investors knowing that there is that backup plan there.
Yeah. And then the investors that are looking at the mutual fund trust also see the potential benefit there of that residual income plus some upside potential. Anytime that we're taking on more of those purpose-built rental assets inside the mutual fund trust, it just adds additional diversification.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would say to that we see a real trend in Calgary of, where a 1-bedroom apartment right now is renting out $1,800 a month, whereas a basement villa unit, may achieve $1,400 or $1,500, and it has become a very, very desirable rental option that we currently see in our current rental portfolio of people leaving, those 1-bedroom apartments to say, I can move into a 2-bedroom basement suite, and it's $300 to $500 less per month, and so. Makes sense from an affordability perspective. So
yeah, that's tremendous. Anytime that we can offer more affordable housing in our city, I think it's a good thing. So that's all tremendous. I'm so excited about this project. Justin, I know you're really excited about the project, and Koby, I know your investors are excited as well. So this is something that we're very eager to follow along and see how the progress goes. Seeing when the sales center opens here in a few weeks is going to be another thing to celebrate and go visit and see how it all comes together. It's such a unique opportunity, and I'm so pleased that Crystal Creek is able to be a part of it. Justin, do you have any final thoughts before we sign off for today?
I would just say that I'm really proud of our company, Crystal Creek, to be included in this particular subdivision in this project. It is going to become the absolute desire of any Calgary builder to be included in this inner city piece of land that is so unique and so affordable on top of it. And so I think that it just goes to our history, the relationships that we have created over a number of years. And, we can't do it without investor capital coming in to the company to be able to commit to projects like this. So, honestly, thank you to all of the investors who've already invested into the project. And, we would love to see more investors participate as the project gets bigger and bigger. More funds are going to be required. So we just see this as a win-win all around. It's great to participate in something and being able to execute on it. And if we don't have those capital partners, we're not able to do that. So thank you.
That's tremendous. So just final thoughts. If you have enjoyed the episode, be sure to like and subscribe so that you can be following along with future episodes as well. And if you are interested in attending one of these live recordings, the live webinar link is available as well. We had a number of people on today's call. Thank you all for joining us in person. We always appreciate that. If you have additional questions, you want some information about the potential investment opportunities at Crystal Creek, we'll throw Koby's contact information up at the end of this as well, as we always do. It is just reaching out to Koby through email, and then he's happy to book one-on-one sessions to discuss your personal situation. So thank you all so much. I really enjoyed this conversation. As always, such an exciting project. Thank you, Koby, for your insights and your questions. Thank you, Justin, for walking us through all of the details. We look forward to another episode in 2 more weeks. And thank you all so much. Have a great week. We will talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.